Okay, one of the interesting things about Illustrator is that you can go in and manipulate type and play with it a little bit. First of all, you've got your standard type tool. Now in Illustrator, when you start typing, you have to be aware, and I'm going to increase my type size here just a little bit. You can go across the character font or character palette up here, or if you push Command T, it will also give you a different character font or character palette here. This is one I usually like to go to just out of habit, but this one is also just fine. I'm going to change my type size though from 12 points to 48 points just so that you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. If I start typing in Illustrator, it doesn't automatically return. And so you have to be aware that when you type, let's get you back, get ourselves back here. When you type, if you're going to be typing something, remember to return if you want multiple lines, just to keep track of it. Okay, that's the very first thing to understand. Now, there are three ways of establishing where you want, or multiple ways of establishing where you want type. One of the first ones is just to take the type tool and click, and that's automatically going to set where that type goes. Okay, to select it, highlight it, everything you've learned in Microsoft Word, all of that. If you want to change your font, you select it, and come over here and change your font to whatever fonts you want. We'll go to Mojo Standard, which is kind of, unreadable, but we'll leave it there at that. Now, when you select that type with your black arrow, notice that you can scale it or you can change and manipulate it like that. If you push Shift, it will constrain it. If you push Shift and Option, it will constrain it from a center point. So, if you want to draw in a specific area, you can get the type tool and click and drag. And then, as you start typing, it will automatically return it for you because you've defined the space that you want to type in. Now, there are two parts to this box that you have to be aware of. First of all, there's the area with the text, and if I select it with the black area, I'm going to get this. Then there's the box itself. If I get the white arrow, I have the opportunity to select just on the box, and I can manipulate where that type is going. In fact, just like a regular shape, if I get the pen tool and hold down the Option key, I can click and drag, and it will give me a round curve to establish where that type or how that type is going to look. So you can manipulate the box shape with the white arrow and be able to make that type do whatever you'd like to do and follow whatever shape you'd like to do it with. The other way to approach that is to draw a shape starting out, and then you can get your type tool and you'll click on it, because you'll notice there's a whole family of type tools here. Now these are the only ones I'm going to be concentrating on: the standard type tool, type in an area, and following a path. This is the vertical ones. They're exactly the same, but they're ugly and it's a waste of time and they're unreadable, so try to avoid using those. In this case, I want my type to follow an area, so I'm going to get the type in an area tool, and then I'll bring that cursor right over the top, let the crosshair go right over the top of that line, and I'll click. And what that will do is establish my cursor, or establish where I want to start typing, and now it will automatically type that as I follow it through. Okay? And once again, and part of the reason that did that was I didn't get a space in there. Let's see here. I just needed some spacing in there, otherwise it doesn't know where to create a word break. So anyway, now as with the other shape, if I select this, I can move these around and change them. You'll also notice that there's not a box color with this. I can select this and go ahead and go to my colors, and it will define the color of that box because I've got that area, or not box, but that area, I've got it selected with the white area, the white arrow tool, which allows me to select just the shape. If I want to select the type, I get the black arrow, it will select the type as a whole. I can even change the color of that as well. Then I look like I'm in a 60s poster. If I choose to, I can always take the cursor and I can highlight over those letters as well, and be able to go in and change the color of those too. Now the one exception of that in colors is I cannot change those to a gradient. Active type can't be changed to a gradient, so you need to remember that, and that's going to come in handy in a minute. So let's go ahead and delete this. There's one other option that I want to show you. I can draw a path, any kind of path that I want, and then if I get the path type tool that follows along a line, I can click on that line and it will follow it all the way through. Now as I go through, you'll notice that at one point, and you'll see it here in a moment, you'll get a little red cross. That means you have more type than you have space. And so in that case what you've got to do is enlarge that area, or you've got to reduce your type so that all of it will fit in there. Okay? To select it, you'll start wherever you want and you just kind of loop around. And if you go too far, it will say, oh, you don't want that whole part, but you can loop around. Okay? Welcome back. What we're going to do right now is show you how to make type follow along a path. We've seen it around a path before, but this time we're going to create it so that it will go inside of a circle. First, here is this section of type right here that will follow along the top of this. You'll notice that the top of this text is going to follow this line, and the base of this text right here will follow along the base line right here. Now this is going to require a couple of circles, so what I want you to do is just pay attention and follow along. Maybe watch this once first and then go through it again, working on it at the same time. The first thing we're going to do is draw a circle, and in this case it's going to fill with black. That doesn't really matter because we're going to get our text tool that follows along a path. Now you're going to see, we'll pull this off and you can see all the different versions. Again, here's your standard text tool, here's your text in an area, and here's text along a path. Again, don't worry about these. This is really a waste of time, so don't bother with those. Get our text tool and get that wavy line right across the top of that. Now, you'll see it's going to rest at the base. I'm honestly not sure why that happens. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of rhyme or reason to it, but that's not a problem. It's something that we can fix. Now I'm going to go ahead and type in United States of America. So it looks like a coin. Now to get this to rotate, I can either get my rotate tool, or I can go ahead and grab this. See, that will select it all. Get my rotate tool. I'm just going to rotate this entire box around, or in this entire circle around like that. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go to my type. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and decrease my baseline shift, or change that so that I get a minus. Now, if you're not seeing all these, go up in your upper right hand corner. You want to see your options. Okay. And that will show you these portions right down here. So I'm going to drop this down. That's going to change where my type rests on that. Now you'll notice it gets a little clogged up. Your type starts to run together and it makes it difficult to read. In order to establish some good typographic sorts of things, we're going to have to adjust our tracking for all of this. So we're going to increase that, maybe 25, we'll go to 35. Give ourselves a little better spacing there. Now if you want to make sure that this is level, push Control R, or go to View, Guides, Show Guides, or drag that guide down, and this will help us to adjust or rotate this. Your type, in this case, you want to do it a little more vertically, or a little more visually, because you want to be able to make it look and appear as if it were straight. If we were to do this completely straight across, the U would look lower than the A. So, just because of the weight of the letter form. Now, I want to change this circle to gray. So I'm going to get my white arrow, which selects just the text box, or in this case the box. I've got to click right on it, and I'm going to give that a gray fill, like that. And then you'll see gray within that box, and then the type itself will be black. Okay. Now, with that done, I'm going to go ahead and select this, copy it, I'm going to paste it in front. What I'm seeing is the exact same object in front, just two versions of it. I'm going to get my my text tool and highlight this and type 1 dime. Okay, we'll leave it at a dime. Now, at this point, I can't see through what's behind that, and I want to be able to do that, so I'm going to select this area once again with my wide arrow, and I'm going to make it transparent so I can see what's behind. Now, actually, maybe that's problematic because you can't see what's going on, or it becomes a little confusing. We'll leave it back at gray for the time being. I'm going to select this box now with my black arrow, and you'll see this single stem right here. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to drag it down. You'll notice two things will happen. If I drag it down, it can either leave it on the inside like that, or if I drag it down lower, it will drop it down below the baseline, which is what I want in this case. See that before it was upside down, and that might be the case of what you want if you want your type just to rotate around or something like that. But in this case, I want it all the way down so that it will drop below the baseline. Now I'll change my baseline shift. Right now it's -23, so it's dropping below the baseline. In this case, I'm going to change it to about 5 points, and it will bring that up above the baseline. See, this baseline shift will change where that's located. I'm also going to change my tracking here from 35 because it's too spread out right now to maybe -5, or well, maybe -25, so it's a little more narrow. Now I may change that later. I'm going to have to look and see what's behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and select this box now, and I'm going to change the fill color to transparent. And now I can see United States of America, 1 dime. If I want to change the type color for all of this, I can just select here and make that white. And I can also select this. I'll deselect the whole thing by pushing Command, get the arrow that will allow me to deselect. Then I can reselect on 1 time and also make that white as well, like that. And now you've got that same look right here. You've been able to go around a different object like that. You don't have to have a fill color in it. You can select that and be certain that your fill color is none if you want. But then of course you've got to change your type color. And this is a case where if I select it with my black arrow, I can come in here, change it to black or whatever color I want. I can select both of them, change both colors to black, like that, and be in business as well. So I don't necessarily have to have that behind there. Alright, and that's it. We'll talk to you some more in a moment.